Hi, Dr. Balastic. Yeah. Hi, Dr. Balastic. Let me know when I can admit the other participants.
Hello, mic test. Hello, mic test. Can you hear me, Francia?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you, but my headset is probably not working too well. Just give me a second.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. So, there are persons in the waiting room. Do you want me to start admitting
Yes,
or
please.
admittable? Yes, you want me to start?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's fine. Mhm. Good morning, Fernanda. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
How are you?
I'm very good.
I
Are you?
have butterflies.
It's okay. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. You'll do perfectly well, I'm sure. Yeah. Mhm.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you?
Good, good, good. Good morning, Nestor. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. Bulastik. I'm fine, thank you. Good.
Great to see you again.
Yes, yes, good to be. Yeah, okay.
Hi, Jacqueline, Tamara. Good morning.
Good
Simon
morning again.
and Trouty. So let's wait on some persons to join. I got a message from Anastasia Jordan from Barbados that she is in Ghana, so she won't be able to attend today. So she would like to send her apologies. Hi, Stephanie. Morning.
Hi, Doc. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Edwina. How are
Good
you?
morning, Serena. How are you?
All right.
Is Mrs. Royer joining today to provide update?
Unfortunately, an urgent issue came up, and so she couldn't come today, but tomorrow we'll
Tomorrow.
speak in
Okay.
her stead.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hey, Miss Raymond, how are you?
Let me just remind Benjamin.
Morning, I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Okay.
Nice.
Good morning.
Good morning, Scarlett. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. How are you?
Morning, Dr. Stello.
Hi, hello, how are you all? Good
We're
morning.
all good. Thank you. Morning, Anna.
Hello, good morning, Ellen. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
Hi, Juan Manuel.
Good morning,
Hello,
everyone.
how are you? All
Morning,
good?
Hi,
Edwin.
good morning.
It's 10 a.m. I guess we're still waiting on some persons to join. I got
Yes, Edwin, just one moment. We would need to give the members just a few more minutes, because I don't believe we would have a quorum as yet. So
Mhm.
perhaps we can give them up until 10:05 to just
Okay.
allow a few more persons to join.
Okay, right, for sure. I know Benjamin has also mentioned he'll be joining. I'm in a chat with him. If you could also give some time for him to
No
sign up.
problem.
Advocate by having him question. You waste two things in one question. When you teach there, listen, you understand?
Hi, morning, everybody.
Good morning. Morning, Oscar. How are you?
Good morning, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning, Tara.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the opportunity to participate today.
Welcome. And I'm seeing Stacy, good morning. Terelia, Jacqueline. Okay, I'm seeing Benjamin joining. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning.
Good morning, Edwin. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you seeing the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay, that when it's 10:05, I think we can make a start with the roll call. I suppose during that time, if anyone else joins, we should be able to capture. But I think it would be a good moment to make a start by doing the roll call.
Okay, I think we could, yes, so, may we call on our, oh, okay, so,
Well, we will do the roll call from this
okay.
end. So good morning, all. Welcome to the 7th meeting of the Human Resources for Health Caribbean Commission. And before we begin, we would like to establish who is in the room. And for this moment, we will take the time to do the roll call. And we'll ask if there is any representative from Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Barbados.
Anastasia Jordan, the CNO.
Good morning. Good morning, Stacy Goring, Chief of Planner, Barbados.
Thank you very much. Belize. Dominica.
Miss Bell, sorry, Miss Bell has indicated that she won't be able to attend the meeting today, so she's sending her apologies.
Okay, will do.
Winanda Raymond, Dominica, as well as
Thank you.
Ravalier, our Principal Nursing Officer.
Thank you. Grenada,
Good morning, Mr. Edwards, Chief Nursing Officer, Grenada.
welcome back.
Thank you, Dr. Linda.
Is there any representative from Guyana?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chandravati Prasad. I'm the Deputy Director, Health Sciences Education, responsible for training Guyana.
Good morning and thank you. Haiti, Jamaica,
Good morning, everyone. Stephanie Bernard Stevens, Director of Health Planning.
good morning and welcome. Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines,
Good morning, everyone. Wilma Ryan, Admin Officer. Focal point for HRH for SVG and the Caribbean Commissions.
thank you very much. Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Anguilla, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands,
Good morning, everyone. Jason Tanapel, Chief Nursing Officer.
thank you. Cayman Islands, Turks and Caicos,
Good morning, everyone. I am Jacqueline Sutton, the Chief Nursing Officer, and I don't know if he has joined us yet, but our health planner, Mr. Linrod Brooks, is also going to be on this meeting. Thank you.
thank you. That concludes our member states. We move now to the organizations and institutions. Is there any representative from CARFA? From PAHO WHO? Edwin, could you?
Yes, we have Benjamin, Dr. Benjamin Puertas, Dr. Juan Manuel Sotelo. I'm also in attendance, as well as others who will be presenting from PAHO.
Okay, thank you. Dalhousie University.
Hello, good morning to everyone. I'm Tara Sampali. I'm joining on behalf of Dr. Gail Tomlin Murphy from the Dalhousie PAHO WHO Collaborating Center. Very glad to be here today.
University of Guyana. University of the West Indies.
Good morning. Simon Anderson, Professor and Director of the Georgia Lane Chronic Disease Research Center, and I'm representing Principal Clive Landis, who isn't able to attend today. Thank you.
Thank you. World Health Organization.
Good morning. I'm Juana Paola Bustamante. I'm here today representing WHO.
Thank you very much. And here at the Secretariat, and we have our Program Manager, Tamara Bob, myself, Brenda Bandapal, with the Deputy Program Manager, Health Sector Development, as well as our admin support. But before we move forward, initially we only had 6 member states who would have joined, but we noticed the arrival of a representative from Suriname. Could you please confirm your entry into the group?
Good morning, everyone. Name is Marcia Williams, Suriname, MOH.
Well, thank you. And with that, we should be able to form the quorum, so we should be able to begin. So our next item on the agenda would be the welcome remarks from Ms. Bob, who will deliver on behalf of the Secretariat.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Dr. Go ahead.
So go ahead over, Ms. Bob, but I'm advised that we would still have to wait for 2 additional persons from our member states. So perhaps we could give them a few more moments. One moment, please. All right, we've noticed an entry of a representative from Trinidad and Tobago, CNO Sherma Alexander Campbell. Ms. Campbell, welcome. Good morning. Could you just confirm that you're on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. And with her entry, we would have the quorum. So I re-invite Ms. Bob to make the welcome remarks on the part of the Secretary.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. Ms. Fernando Raymond, Chair of the Human Resources for Health Caribbean Commission. Dr. Juan Miguel Sotelo, Director of the Caribbean Sub-Regional Office of the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization ad interim. Dr. Benjamin Puertas, Chief Human Resources for Health Unit, Department of Health Systems and Services, PAHO WHO. Members of the HRH Caribbean Commission representing member and associate states, partner agencies, and regional institutions. Good morning. Permits me to extend a warm welcome to you at this, the 7th meeting of the Human Resources for Health Caribbean Commission on behalf of the CARICOM Secretariat. It must be recognized that the work of this commission contributes to the realization of the Caribbean region's broader strategic goals to achieve the health and well-being of the people of the Caribbean community and the attainment of regional public goods. Addressing the issues surrounding training, recruiting, and retaining an adequate healthcare workforce continues to be a high priority for our CARICOM member states. In recent, the migration of healthcare and other workers has become even more visible as member states have expressed a commitment to address the issue through the development of a wider regional migration policy. Within this policy framework, the policies related to recruiting and retaining human resources for health from the Caribbean will be included. Therefore, the policy measures recommended in the recently developed draft policy brief on the migration and mobility of healthcare workers in the Caribbean should be closely considered. In addition, member states should consider how they will lend their collective voices to the global discussion at the upcoming high-level meeting on migration and mobility of healthcare workers in the region of the Americas. Apart from the issue of migration, today's meeting will also look at the progress made in the revision of the Human Resources for Health, Human Resources for Resilient Health Systems Caribbean Roadmap 2025 to 2030. This plan will outline the strategic actions to address the human resources for health issues in the region. Therefore, your input will be essential to ensuring the completed document reflects the needs of the CARICOM region. Key updates will also be provided on the revision of the action framework to strengthen strategic information on human resources for health in the Caribbean and progress member states have made in the National Human Resources for Health plans, among others. At this time, I wish to acknowledge the focal points from member states who actively contribute to the Commission's work and spearhead actions to address the challenges faced at the national level. I also wish to recognize the continued partnership of the team at the Pan American Health Organization and the representatives from partner organizations and institutions who are also supporting this commission through technical support. In parting, I wish you fruitful deliberations in today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bob. And with that, we move on to the next item. Edwin, this would be the opening remarks from PAHO WHO. Edwin, over to your end.
Yes, thank you very much, Serena. We have Dr. Manuel Sotelo, the Sub-Regional Program Director ad interim for the Caribbean, who will be giving remarks, as well as to be followed by Dr. Benjamin Puertas, HRH Unit Chief, the PAHO at the headquarters of PAHO in Washington, D.C. So over to you, Dr. Sotelo.
Yes, thank you, Edwin and Serena. I would like to address my words to Ms. Tamara Bob from the Directorate of Human and Social Development, CARICOM Secretariat, Mrs. Bernarda Raymond, Chair, Human Resources for Health Caribbean Commission, Dr. Benjamin Puertas, Unit Chief, Human Resources for Health Department of Health Systems and Services, HRH country focal persons and members of the HRH CC, colleagues, esteemed partners, and guests. Today we gather for a momentous occasion that defines our shared commitment to the health and well-being of the Caribbean. It is an honor and a profound privilege to speak before you in my capacity as the Interim Director of the Sub-Regional Program Coordination Office for the Caribbean based in Barbados. I extend a heartfelt welcome to all of you at this 7th meeting of the Human Resources for Health Caribbean Commission. This is my first HRH CC meeting, and I'm truly humbled by the remarkable progress the Commission has made since its inception at the 43rd meeting of the Council of Human and Social Development. Emerging from its origins as the Human Resources for Health Action Task Force, this Commission has indeed paved the way for coordinated action that has not only strengthened healthcare, but also safeguarded lives across the region. Since those early days, we have seen concerted efforts that have impacted healthcare delivery in meaningful ways. The Commission's role in guiding policy addressing health workers' migration, vaccine hesitancy, health information systems, and health labor market analysis, as well as strengthening nursing and midwifery, speaks to the breadth and depth of our collaborative work. We have not done this alone. Together with the CARICOM Secretariat, CARICOM member states and territories, PAHO WHO collaborating centers, and colleagues, we have built the foundations for health systems that can withstand current and future challenges. Your unwavering commitment to advancing sub-regional actions to strengthen human resources for health has been nothing short of extraordinary. The work we have undertaken together is transformative, especially considering the trials posed by COVID-19 pandemic. Today, I'm proud to stand alongside you as we present the Human Resources for Resilient Health Systems Caribbean Roadmap 2025-2030, a blueprint that will guide us towards achieving stronger, more resilient health systems in every corner of the Caribbean. Our health workers are indeed the heart and soul of our healthcare systems. They are more than professionals. They are the hands that heal, the voices that comfort, and the driving force behind the well-being of our communities. Without their dedication and skills, our ambitions for universal access to quality health services will remain unfulfilled. Studies have shown that healthcare workers are the most trusted by the public when it comes to making crucial health decisions, not only for themselves, but also for their loved ones. This trust highlights the critical role they play in shaping the health of our societies. Their guidance and expertise form the bedrock of informed life-saving decisions in our communities. We must continue to invest in them, to modernize our approach to workforce planning, and to create systems that nurture, support, and empower them. This is how we build resilient health systems, by first ensuring that the workforce itself is resilient. The roadmap that we present today offers a strategic vision to address the HRH challenges faced by CARICOM member states and territories. But the work does not end here. As we move towards the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, we must redouble our efforts and ensure that no health worker is left unsupported, no community is left vulnerable, and no health system is left unprepared for the challenges ahead. Today, I call on each of you to continue your dedication to this noble cause. Let us not lose sight of the remarkable progress we have made, but let this inspire us to push forward with even greater determination. On that note, I once again warmly welcome you to the 7th meeting of the HRH Caribbean Commission. I am confident that today's discussion will be both productive and inspiring. I extend my deep gratitude to CARICOM and its member states for your unwavering collaboration with the PAHO Subregional Program Coordination Office on HRH matters and other matters as well. Together, we will continue to support the Caribbean in its journey towards a stronger, healthier, and more resilient future. Thank you, and I wish you a highly successful meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Sotelo. And then Dr. Portas, will you now make remarks?
Thank you very much. Very brief. First of all, a brief. My salutations to all the members of the directing panel, the colleagues who are representing the countries, members of the HRH Caribbean Commission, and our colleagues from the different institutions that participate in the HRH CC as well. I'm very happy to say that today we're going to be discussing a third policy brief that has been developed by the HRH Commission with the support of PAHO and CARICOM. And this is on the healthcare workers migration in the Caribbean. And in the next month in Washington, the COSOT and Ministers of Health will hopefully approve this third policy brief approved by the developed by the Commission. So this is something really important. We started back when the HRH was an action task force during the pandemic, and developed the first policy brief on strengthening HRH for a COVID-19 pandemic and other sanitary emergencies. And then the Commission, and in those days, the Action Task Force, developed a policy brief on addressing vaccine hesitancy among healthcare workers. And today we're going to be presenting an analysis of what has happened in the last 2 years in terms of vaccine acceptance among healthcare workers, and we have very, very good news. And I can say that part of that success is because of the policy brief and the work carried out by the Commission. So I'm very happy to participate in this 7th meeting. We have previous meetings as an action task force during the really difficult times. And now we can see how the Commission has developed into an efficient, hardworking group of members. And I'm very happy to be still part of it. And I'm looking forward to continue supporting from PAHO's region the work that the Commission carries out in the future. So thank you very much again, and I'm ready to continue. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Portas. So with that, that concludes the remarks from the PAHO end. And we will move to the next item on the agenda, which speaks to the assumption of the chair. Ms. Fernanda Raymond from Dominica. Chair, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. Good morning, all. Ms. Tamara Bob, Representative, CARICOM Secretariat. Dr. Juan Miguel Sotulo, Director of Caribbean Sub-Regional Office of the Pan American Health Organization, World Health Organization, ad interim. Dr. Benjamin Puertas, Chief Human Resources for Health Unit, Department of Health Systems and Services, PAHO, WHO, Washington, D.C., members of the Commission, representing members and associate states, partner agencies, and regional institutions. Welcome to the 7th meeting of the Human Resources for Health Caribbean Commission. Today, I am pleased to be chairing this meeting. In the past year, I have been honored to assume the role of chair of this body as I find the work of the Human Resources for Health Commission, HRH CC, to be vitally important. Together, I am confident that we will navigate the complexities that lie ahead and provide solutions that support the development and sustainability of a skilled and diverse healthcare workforce to meet the evolving healthcare needs of the Caribbean population. I would also like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the outgoing chair, Mrs. Lizette Bell, Deputy Director of Health Services, Chief Nursing Officer Belize, for her successful tenure. Her outstanding leadership and dedication have been instrumental in driving the work of the Commission in the Caribbean community. We are truly grateful for her service. As you may be aware, the Caribbean faces a multitude of challenges in delivering quality healthcare services to provide for this region. Member states are often hard-pressed to ensure the health and care needs of members of our society are equitably met. The fact remains that with each day, more is required of the health systems as we continue to face new and existing health threats. At the core of the issue is the need to maintain a well-trained, well-equipped, and motivated health force. Therefore, our work here today must remain focused in ensuring the development of strategic and evidence-based interventions that will address current and future needs of HRH. These interventions should consider the education, retention, and provisions of incentives for healthcare workers, along with improving their working conditions. The policy recommendation outlined in the draft policy on migration and mobility for health workers in the Caribbean, which was developed with the support of PAHO, WHO, provided a base for consideration for member states. They speak of prioritizing the collection and utilization of HRH data, which is critical for forecasting HRH needs and identifying the skills and competencies they require. They also speak to developing competitive compensation packages that goes beyond financial remuneration. It considers career growth opportunities and flexible working arrangements and promotes maintaining work-life balance and the mental health and well-being of healthcare workers as well as managers. While it may not be easy and may require the implementation of innovative mechanisms, we must work to make these recommendations a reality. As members of the HRH CC, I thank you for taking the time to attend this meeting. I look forward to your valuable insights and contributions, as well as we discuss the items on today's agenda. Let us collaborate towards collective solutions. I thank you and now call the meeting to order. The next item on the agenda will be the adoption of the agenda. I invite the meeting to review the draft agenda as circulated and as displayed. And please advise if you wish to provide or proposed any new items? Edwin?
Yes, Madam Chair, if there are no objections from the members of the HRH Caribbean Commission, we would like to propose including item on Agenda 8, updates on HRHIS, some brief updates on the status of the reporting for the WHO Global Code of Practice.
Thank you. Edwin?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Given that proposal, we will add an item on the updates of HRH RHIS agenda, item 8 on the agenda, an update on WHO Global Code. If there are no objectives to this proposal, I will declare the agenda adopted with the adoption of the item on the agenda, item 8 of the agenda. Are there any objections? I therefore declare the agenda adopted with the additional item on the item 8 of the agenda. I will hand over this to the Secretariat for procedural matters.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, we would offer guidance to the members of the commission of the meeting to advise that this meeting is scheduled for 2 hours, from 10 hours to 12 hours Atlantic Standard Time. As this is a virtual meeting, participants are asked to identify themselves by renaming their display names to indicate their name and the country, organization, or institution that they are representing. In addition to that, this is to ensure that persons who are not supposed to be in the meeting are closely monitored. You also ask that you put this information in the chat for record keeping. Participants are asked to mute their microphones on entry, and your microphone should remain closed or muted when speakers are on the floor. Each speaker is given approximately 5 minutes to make their presentation, which will be followed by discussion by members of the meeting. The participants are asked to use the raise hand icon on the Zoom platform to indicate their readiness to contribute to the meeting. So that concludes the procedural matters. Over to you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. Colleagues, I invite you and your attention to the agenda items under item 6, updates on current activities of the HRH CC PAHO WHO. Miss Maria Elena Alacron will present.
Hi, Chair. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Director.
Sorry for interrupting, but I'm not too sure we had a sign off on the agenda. Somebody must ensure that the agenda was accepted and seconded as amended before we move on to the discussion.
Thank you, Madam Director. Can a member of the floor please accept the agenda as amended? Okay, I see Schumer Alexander Campbell, Trinidad and Tobago. And can we have a seconder, please?
I do so second, Madam Chair. This is Terilia Ravalia, Dominica.
Thank you very much. The agenda having been moved and seconded is now confirmed as adopted with the item change addition at 8. So with that, we will move on to item agenda number 6. And I will invite Maria Alacon to present on the systemization of the achievements of the HRH Action Task Force and the Caribbean Commission since their formation.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present the systematization of the work of the HRH Action Task Force and HRH Caribbean Commission. Can you please confirm if you are seeing my presentation?
Not as yet, Maria Elena.
Okay, let me try again. Can you see it now?
Yes, we are. If you could go in slide view, that would be
Yes.
nice. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. I will be providing an overview of the work done for the systematization of the work of the Commission from 2021 to 2023. The main objective of this work was to provide a comprehensive review of the work of the HRH Action Task Force, which later transitioned into the HRH Caribbean Commission, highlighting achievements, challenges, opportunities, and lessons learned, as well as stakeholders' inputs and perception of the Commission's contribution from its inception in early 2021 up until December 2023. It also aims to present insights and recommendations for the Commission's future actions. For the methods, desk research was conducted by reviewing meeting recordings, minutes, work plan, terms of references, and existing publications related to the Commission. Member states, territories, and collaborating institutions were invited to participate through interviews and questionnaires, and feedback was obtained from 12 key informants and stakeholders. Qualitative analysis focused on synthesizing narratives from interviews and questionnaires, and qualitative analysis evaluated survey responses using Likert scale ratings. The systematization includes a chapter about governance, organizational structure, and operational frameworks with key topics such as structure, profile of members, main functions, operational framework, and main objectives. The Commission has undertaken several key initiatives and achievements, such as the policy development, the developed and endorsed policy briefs on COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy and strengthening HRH to respond to pandemics, as well as the draft policy brief on migration of health workers in the region. In terms of capacity building, the programs that were launched for healthcare workers, including training in vaccinology and vaccine safety, and strengthened nursing education in several member states. Another example of achievements is the establishment of core HRH indicators to support workforce planning and initiated discussions on developing a regional information system for HRH planning. Key challenges were also identified. Some of them are the need to enhance capacity for dialogue, information exchange, and coordination across Caribbean countries, as well as increased dialogue on HRH migration between Caribbean and destination countries, improve implementation of policy actions at the member state level, and increase representation and participation of members, especially in virtual settings. Regarding sustainability and continuity of the Commission, stakeholders affirmed the positive impact of the HRH CC, recognizing its importance for the continued governance and coordination of HRH policies across CARICOM. Its continuation was identified as essential for several reasons, such as the strategic mechanism for HRH governance and space for raising awareness of HRH issues, facilitating policy development, regional collaboration, technical support and capacity building, visibility and advocacy, continued advisory role, and building networks. Some of the recommendations gathered include the developing of guidelines, specific guidelines to support policy brief implementation at the country level. Also reviewing and updating the action plan if needed of the Commission in alignment with the region current needs and the Workforce 2030 policy. Broaden collaboration, such as involving United Nations agencies, academic institutions, and regional organizations like ILO and World Bank. Mobilize funding, engage health sector leadership, and lobby member states for budget support. Support member states, provide training, policy implementation assistance, and technical support. Enhance HRH information systems, develop systems and assess maturity levels across countries, and strengthen coordination, improve collaboration among member states and international bodies. As a conclusion of the systematization, the HRH Caribbean Commission has solidified its role in HRH development across CARICOM with widespread stakeholder support. Looking ahead, it should continue providing technical support, ensure policy implementation, bolster resource mobilization, maintain its coordination role, and work on addressing identified challenges and applying lessons learned. By setting regional standards and strengthening governance frameworks, the HRH Caribbean Commission remains key in shaping resilient and well-governed human resources for health systems in the sub-region. Thank you. That is my summary of the work that was done for the systematization, and over to you, Ms. Chair.
Thank you, Maria. We thank you for your presentation. We acknowledge the sharing of the key areas of acknowledgement, the challenges, the sustainability for continuity, and the recommendations that were placed within your presentation. I now invite comments and questions from the floor.
I see the
Yes.
Juana Paula
Juana
Bustamante has
Paula,
her hand.
yes, go ahead, Juana Paula. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering what are the next steps in order to go further with the recommendations, because there were, if you can put the slide on the recommendations, there were some specific topics on how actually the commission can be strengthened on and how can it have actually a greater impact at the country level. Like, for instance, by setting, by supporting member states, by enhancing. And so is there an action by the Commission that we would have to take in terms of modifying something specific to align to the recommendations, or what would be the next steps?
Thank you. Yes, that is something that I think it will be put on this floor to determine the next steps. First of all, the member states, we need the input from them. I think that Edwin could let us know a little bit more about the state of the document. I think it was shared with the member states for their feedback, and then to define the next steps.
All right, so if I may, Madam Chair, let me raise my hand.
Yes, go ahead, Doctor.
Yes, so first of all, thank you, Maria Elena, for sharing. I think it's the first time that the members of the HRH Caribbean Commission are hearing it. We hope to share, if it's not already been shared, I'll have to check. I think we have to kind of finalize the document, and then we will be sharing it widely for information as well to the members, and then to get their feedback, as well as to validate, what has been presented in the report as well. Further on, I think is also for the members of the Caribbean Commission, to determine to update the action plan of the commission, taking into consideration what have been recommended in the document. And I also would like to respectfully suggest that once the document has been cleaned up and edited, that we also move it for publication as well. Maybe Benjamin would also be able to provide some guidance in terms of some of the next steps moving forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I acknowledge Dr. Bender. Dr. Bender.
I just want to say on the part of the commission, it is relatively new in the sense that, of course, as we see from the presentation, previously it was a task force and now it is a full-fledged commission, where there is need to consider what the wider scope of the work will be, and indeed to formalize some of the protocols and procedures that are related to it. So based on our current internal structures, or rather the structures of the organs or bodies of the community, it could be a revisit. It could speak to a revisit or an amendment of the terms of reference that exists with the body, with the input of the members to determine how they would want to frame the work and the way the commission operates. So that is something that I would want to offer to the members of the commission to consider in how we move forward.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. Dr. Puertas.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I agree with what my colleague from CARICOM has proposed. I think we need to be aware that very soon and with high probabilities, the COSOT Ministers of Health will be approving the policy brief on migration of healthcare workers, and will mandate the Commission, with the support of PAHO and CARICOM, to implement the policy actions. So we should wait, that's going to happen, has high probabilities of happening. So that means that the Commission will be mandated by the Ministers of Health of CARICOM to do so and to proceed. And one of the strategies that was presented by Marilena Alarcón has to do with having a clear way of implementing these policy briefs. That's the first recommendation, I think. So I think the Commission, as Serena Bender mentioned, should revise the terms of reference of the now Commission to make sure that it has this type of or these recommendations are included in that terms of reference. That would be number one. And second one, I would suggest that the subcommission within the HRH CC take that task. And I want to be, we need to be and move ahead of what's going to happen again with a new policy brief that's going to come soon. And it's going to be a mandate. And as probably everybody knows, it's going to be within a bigger policy on migration in general. So that's going to be a very important task, and with a lot of priority, and with a high political and strategical stakes. So we need to be prepared. So that would be my recommendation, to review the terms of reference, to have a subcommission to go through what should be done. There is some recommendations also to engage and to increase the participation of member states. So those should be elements that need to be discussed in this subcommission and then presented to the plenary. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Puertas. Thank you, Flo, for your interventions with this presentation and the number of recommendations that came to the floor for consideration. And we have noted and documented these recommendations. We move on to the second item, Dr. Bodestil. and Ms. Maria Alacon will provide an update on the progress of the drafting the regional policy brief on the migration and mobility of healthcare workers in the Caribbean. Edwin and Maria, over to you.
Thank you very much. Are you seeing the full presentation or?
Not as yet.
Not as yet. Okay, let me shift I think I need to change the display setting. Are you seeing it now?
Not as yet.
Not yet. Okay. Right. I may have to. Okay, I may have to shift. Hold on. Shift the screen. Are you seeing it now? No.
We are seeing you need to do the screen.
Not the
view.
full screen.
Okay.
Let me try again. Slideshow. Okay. Right.
You are there. We're there.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so today I'm just going to provide updates. This has been previously presented to the HRH Caribbean Commission. So what I'm going to do today is just to provide updates on what has transpired already in terms of the consultations that would have been conducted over the past several months towards presentation to COSOD for adoption. So the policy on migration and mobility of health workers in the Caribbean has already is trying to address the issues on HRH in the country, in the countries in the Caribbean, among the CARICOM member states and territories. And it started with the Caribbean Roadmap for Universal Health 2018-2022, where it stressed the need to develop strategies for countries with acute shortages and also to identify HRH retention measures. At the 39th COSOD meeting, the HRH Action Task Force was established, and it was formalized into the Caribbean Commission at the 43rd COSOD meeting, and the 29th COSOD special session. The HRH Caribbean Commission was mandated to develop a policy brief to address the mobility of nurses and physicians. And at the 75th session of the Regional Committee of WHO for Americas, the Policy on Health Workforce 2030 was approved, urging member states to enhance healthcare worker stability, emphasizing the need to mitigate HRH migration. At the moment, this is gaining a lot of political traction, going all the way to a statement made by the Director General of WHO, where he mentioned that Caribbean health ministers are frustrated by health workers seeking overseas jobs abroad. Also looking at several publications as well in the news where it highlights the shortages of health workforce and the poaching from the global south, and health workers being lured from low-income countries to richer countries. So you will know as well that this is going to be a major agenda across the different regions of the WHO, including the Americas. So what are some of the key considerations in the development of this policy brief? There have been a number of trends that have been observed in terms of main destinations, which are North America and Europe. And the nurses are the largest group migrating from CARICOM, and the migration flow was exacerbated by the pandemic. So what are some of these challenges? We have staff shortages, staff burnt out and attrition. You have the brain drain, particularly in settings where there's limited specialized health professionals, and the deficit the projected deficit of human resources for health by 2030 is going to be felt very heavily by the Caribbean member states and territories, especially alongside the fact that a high percentage of health workers have indicated an intention to leave the country if given the opportunity, and the very aggressive recruitment strategies from destination countries. And this is exacerbated by the lack of data, or sometimes also a lack of systematization in terms of the collection, reporting, and analysis of HRH data to help in HRH planning and decision making. And so therefore, this highlights the need to address health worker migration and mobility in CARICOM, particularly in countries with low density of health workers, coupled with high rates of outward migration. So this is just as we've mentioned, there's stronger demand to recruit healthcare workers, as evidenced by increased job postings in the US and Canada. And when interviewed English-speaking Caribbean health professionals, about 92% of them, they said that they would actually be less inclined to migrate if offered opportunities for promotion and professional advancement. So while there's a lot of pull from the high income countries, the good thing is that people from the Caribbean actually also say that they would want to stay if they're offered local opportunities for career growth and promotion. So there's a lot of these dynamics about push and pull factors really affecting our health workers in the Caribbean. As we mentioned, the nurses represent the largest group of health professionals migrating from the Caribbean, coming from Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Barbados. And this does not even include USA and New Zealand. So just to look at the push and pull factors of healthcare worker migration, the CARICOM, better working conditions and better financial economic opportunities, as well as education training opportunities, are the major factors, that would push for migration outside of the Caribbean countries. Also highlighted here is that there's too much bureaucracy for some of the respondents who have answered this survey. If we look at the policy brief stakeholders consultation for this policy brief, in 2023, when they were asked about the driving forces for migration out of the region of the country, it reflects pretty much what has been mentioned here. However, to include work overload at home country and political instability or security concerns at the home country. And so this summarizes both the push and pull factors. However, also, we would like to highlight that diasporas have a big role to play in terms of enticing health workers from the Caribbean to move to greener pastures, and also as a pull factor in terms of providing the kind of support to the migrating health worker to the first world countries. And so in summary, based on the findings of the surveys and literature review, these are some of the interventions, 6 of them, to address migration and mobility of health workers in the Caribbean. First is strengthening planning and forecasting of health workers through effective collection, utilization, and reporting of data. Second is improving working conditions, and supported also by the implementation of competitive salaries, benefits, and career growth opportunities. Alongside these retention strategies, it's also strengthening training programs. So all of these would actually promote retention, as well as promote return migration, which is the 5th intervention. And then the 6th one is establish regional and international collaboration. So in the backdrop would be a multi-sectoral approach in terms of the involvement of education, labor, finance, immigration, and other sectors, invoking a whole of society and whole of government approach, but also strengthening governance in CARICOM health systems. So if you drill down on the policy interventions for strengthening planning and forecasting of health workers, there's need to use a health labor market analysis lens to look at the supply, demand, and distribution of HRH and the factors that influence these dynamics, as well as reporting to the National Health Workforce Accounts for use in policy and decision-making, as well as HRH planning. Also important is the reporting to the WHO Global Code of Practice to enable collaborative navigation of ethical recruitment and policy formulation, as well as standardized data and accuracy to support global efforts in managing health workforce mobility. Under improving working conditions, we need to enhance job satisfaction, as well as to put in measures and interventions to support mental health among healthcare workers, as well as the protection of their rights and other conditions that will make them want to stay in the Caribbean. The next intervention is implementing competitive salaries, benefits, and career growth of opportunities, which includes reevaluating compensation packages and benchmarking it with national, regional, and international data, and commit to periodic reviews. Also, to align career pathways with improved compensation packages for offering clear progression for strategic intervention. So that alongside the career pathways is also some kind of a compensation package that would support, step increments in terms of, the more responsibilities that they do, and the higher, the higher in the career ladder they go up, that is supported also by the kind of pay that would be commensurate to the increasing responsibilities. So the next intervention is strengthening training programs for HRH, which include the development of tailored learning pathways, having micro-credentials to enhance skills and recognition, and interprofessional training. Can I proceed? Okay, thank you very much. And so next is to promote return migration, but this will require data collection as well as a multi-sectoral support in terms of all the different agencies coming together to come up with offering attractive yet realistic incentives, and also fostering collaboration locally and internationally by engaging the key sectors. And finally, the sixth intervention is to establish regional international collaboration to address the common challenges, share best practices, and also collectively advocate for ethical recruitment practices. And international collaboration in terms of bilateral agreements when we recruit health workers, and also destination countries to provide technical and financial support. We need to understand that most of the Caribbean countries are both source and destination countries. So having these bilateral agreements is important in terms of ensuring the protection of the rights of the health workers. So what are some of the core considerations? So we mentioned that a multi-sectoral approach is required to ensure policy coherence and collaboration among different sectors and achieve comprehensive solutions. There's also need for stakeholder engagement. There's also a need to identify financial strategies through dialogues around fiscal space to be able to tap into existing resources and leverage international cooperation, particularly technical exchanges. Unified advocacy in terms of having a united front in international fora to enhance diplomatic power, enable legislation to balance short-term actions with long-term actions, address regulatory gaps, and of course, enhance stakeholder understanding. And very important as well is monitoring and evaluation to ensure transparency, accountability, and adaptability. So this policy brief has been presented in different fora, including the Regional Nursing Body meeting in Guyana, the HRH Caribbean Commission meeting, the 6th meeting in March, the 32nd meeting of the Chief Medical Officers in St. Lucia in April, the 51st General Meeting of the Regional Nursing Body, as well as more recently, last week, the preparatory meeting of the 47th COSOD, where it has also been accepted. And this process has resulted in a 10-point specific recommendations has been incorporated into the policy brief, which you will find in Annex 5. And this is more specific recommendations to national implementation of the 6 interventions. So in conclusion, CARICOM member states should work towards creating conditions where migration is not born out of necessity due to poor working conditions or lack of opportunities, but it's rather a choice for personal and professional development within a well-managed and negotiated migration framework with the option of return and reintegration into the domestic health system. And so one of the next steps most immediate next step is actually the presentation of the policy brief at the 47th meeting of the COSOD Health in Washington, D.C., USA. And we do hope that this policy brief is going to be approved and accepted by COSOD for implementation. Over to you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ballistic, for a comprehensive update on the progress. And I invite colleagues for your comments and questions. There, noted there being none at this time, we can move on to the next item.
Chair, if I may,
Yes, yes,
just to offer one clarification in addition to Edwin's presentation. So at the preparatory meeting that was held last week, in essence, the decision of the officials was to agree to what the proposed decision was at that time. So it will be presented to the COSOD. So we would know more when it's presented to the COSOD what the final decision will be. And that will be on the 27th of September.
Thank you for that, Dr. Bender. So we will call on Dr. Ballistic again to present for us on the progress of the revision of the Human Resources for Resilient Health Systems Caribbean Roadmap 2025-2030, a workshop to update the previous iteration was held in June 2024 in Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just share the slide.
Yes. Just a reminder, as Dr. prepares his presentation, be mindful of the presentation time of 5 minutes. We will allow at least to 7, but be mindful of that. Thank you.
I'm not sure if you're seeing. Are you seeing the full screen?
Yes, it's there. We have seen.
Thank you very much. So for this agenda item, I'm going to present on the progress of the revision of the draft human resource for resilient health systems Caribbean roadmap. So outlined, it has to do with the introduction, objectives, situation analysis, and the strategic HRH priorities for the Caribbean. And so the Human Resources for Resilient Health Systems Caribbean Roadmap provides a strategic approach to align workforce investments and policy actions to address challenges associated with developing and maintaining HRH for resilient health systems across the Caribbean. If you look at the global strategy on human resources for health, there are 4 main objectives, which are optimizing the existing workforce, anticipating and aligning investment in future workforce requirements, strengthening individual and institutional capacity to manage HRH policy planning and implementation, and strengthening data, evidence, and knowledge for cost-effective policy decisions. At the PAHO regional level, the Health Workforce Policy 2030 on strengthening human resources for health to achieve resilient health systems has identified 5 lines of action, which include strengthening the governance and promoting national policies and plans for HRH, the development and consolidation of regulatory mechanisms for HRH, strengthening the formation of interprofessional teams and their integration into health services networks based on primary health care, enhancing workforce capacity building to address population health priorities, and promoting decent working conditions, protection of the physical and mental health of health workers, and an adequate supply of HRH through financing and regulation. At the Caribbean level, there have been 7 priorities identified under the Caribbean Roadmap on Human Resources for Universal Health 2018-2022, which has actually been reviewed recently to provide evidence for the development of the new Caribbean roadmap for 2025-2030. And so the objective of the new roadmap is to identify ongoing and new priority areas for the sub-region within the period that I've mentioned, to align it with national, regional, and global priorities and mandates, which I have also presented earlier. It also aims to outline strategic interventions to address challenges identified under each priority with corresponding milestones, indicators, and enabling factors for successful implementation of proposed initiatives. So a situational analysis has been conducted through an online survey that ran from June 4 to 11th on country-level implementation of the 7 strategic actions under the Caribbean Roadmap 2018-2022, which I presented earlier. 35 participants from 16 Caribbean countries participated, and 71% of the respondents claimed that they are aware of the 2018-2022 roadmap. However, only 23% observed that the roadmap was actually used to develop HRH policies. And these are the 35 participants from these 16 countries that have participated in the online survey, which is quite representative of the Caribbean. So what did the situational analysis say very briefly? In terms of governance and leadership, most countries do not have HRH policies, plans, multi-sectoral committees, and the locus of responsibility for HRH planning is highly variable. In terms of education and training, countries have competency-based curricula offered by accredited institutions. 70% of respondents claimed this statement. However, there are only about 37% of the respondents who said that there is implementation of interprofessional approaches in their countries, and also that social accountability orientation is in the curriculum, so about 52% of the respondents. So in terms of access with quality and equity, a high percentage at 90% indicated having policies on ethical practice of health professionals, with 64% of them being aware of having health ethics committees, and 69% having observed that a chronic care model based on primary health care approach is being implemented in their countries. In terms of finance, only 28% was aware of HRH plans that would have dedicated budgets, and 47% knew of initiatives to mobilize resources for HRH. In terms of HRH information systems, only a third of respondents indicated having an information system for human resources in their countries, and they normally would come either manually, electronic, or hybrid. And a little more than half of the respondents indicated planning to develop an HRH information system in their countries. For research, only 11% of respondents were aware of a national health research agenda that included research on HRH. A third was aware of a national health research unit, and only 5% was aware of a national health research council. And lastly, in terms of workforce feminization and gender responsiveness, less than half were aware of a national gender policy. About a quarter observed a gender perspective being incorporated in HRH planning, development, employment, and deployment in the respective countries. So based on those findings and also on the deliberations during the workshop, the following that was participated in by 8 countries, and these workshops were done in 2 blended sessions. The one in Trinidad and Tobago on the 13th and 14th of June, and another one which is completely virtual on the 27th of June, involving all these different countries and other institutions who are members of the HRH Caribbean Commission. So after having gone through an extensive process of consultation, the following 5 lines of action, which were aligned with the PAHO 2030 workforce, have been adopted, and these are strengthening governance and stewardship of human resources for health through appropriate tailored models and mechanisms. Strategic line of action 2 is to establish consolidated regulatory frameworks and mechanisms for education and HRH practice for the Caribbean. Line of action 3 has to do with establishing and strengthening interprofessional teams and their integration into health services networks to achieve universal health based on primary healthcare approach. Strategic line 4 is to enhance workforce capability and capacity building to address population health priorities with focus on the primary healthcare approach, including public health emergency and disaster preparedness and response, and ensure adequate supply and retention of competent, fit-for-purpose HRH through financing, regulation, promotion, and of decent working conditions, respecting diversity, equity, inclusiveness, and protection of the rights of workers. So line of action 1 has all these strategic interventions that have been identified. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through them, but I'll give you a bit of time to look at them. Strategic line of action 2. Strategic line of action 3. Strategic line of action 4. And strategic line of action 5. So you will find in the document itself that it has it elaborates on the strategic line of action, the strategic interventions, the indicators, timelines, as well as enabling factors that would ensure implementation of each of the interventions identified. So these 2 slides would summarize the milestones for each year as identified in the Caribbean Roadmap that has been recently developed for 2025-2030. And these are the milestones and indicators that have been summarized in these two slides. So by 2028, we hope to have a midterm review of country implementation. And by 2030, we hope to have an end of term evaluation of country implementation and preparation for the next cycle of the HRH roadmap. So what are some key points for national implementation? One is the adoption and implementation of evidence-based health workforce policies and plans, strengthening the content and implementation of HRH policies, and building planning capacity to develop or improve HRH policy and strategies that quantify health workers' needs, demands, and supply under different future scenarios, catalyze multi-sectoral action in health workforce, and strengthen HRH information systems and build the human capital that is required to operate in alignment with broader health management information systems. And so part of the next steps would be the presentation to the HRH CC, which is what we're doing right now. And we will also go through a series of consultations with the regional nursing body, the chief medical officer, for eventual adoption by COSOD. And one hope by September 2025 next year. And we hope to also have it published by next year. That ends my presentation, and over to you, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you for that update. Dominica Health Team certainly looks forward to the finalization of the roadmap and implementation. The floor is now open for interventions.
Good morning. I was looking to see somewhere I could be. I don't see. I don't think I'm allowed to raise my hands. I was looking for that, but I wasn't seeing the possibility of doing that. But I just want to thank Dr. Bolastic for that very this Emmanuel coming from University of Guyana.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Very comprehensive presentation and very clear directions. I think it really will. I think it's a lot of work was put into that, and it's very useful guidance for us here in the Caribbean. The only observation I would want to make, because issue of accreditation, I think that is one that is paramount with respect to. But what has happened? CAMHP was established in 2004. And what has happened from then to now, we have only seen movement towards accreditation for medical schools, and to some extent dental schools. We are still to see movement towards having other programs being accredited. We know that we speak about intersectoral, we speak about interprofessional training, and I think if you're looking to strengthen healthcare training within the region, we also need to provide the CAMHP with the sort of direction that we need to, at some point, initiate the process of having accreditation for other programs as well, nursing and all the other programs that are growing. In addition to that, I do believe that apart from the regional institutions, University of West Indies, University of Guyana, which are the main, but there are also a plethora of medical schools that are mushrooming all over the region. And a lot of these graduates are they're entering into the workforce, and in order in terms of making up for the shortages. But again, on the issue of accreditation, I think CAMHP meets once per year to make a decision. The process of having so many schools that are there around that are providing healthcare workers for the region, I think at some point the accrediting body needs to be a bit more innovative in terms of trying to have more regular meetings so that the process of accreditation can be accelerated. Having one meeting per year, 3 schools per year, we're talking about, apart from the traditional medical schools, there are other schools that, as I've indicated, that, and these schools that were given recognition by the respective governments, and they're operating particularly in a lot of the Eastern Caribbean territories, and we've seen that they've gone there in Guyana, they're in Barbados, they're all over the place. I mean, even in Jamaica. And so, in summary, the real point, the last point, is that at least we need to have some sort of accelerated look at how we approach the whole issue of assessment of these medical schools, so that having one meeting per year really does not satisfy the need, because I know at some point that there was a cutoff point of 2024. I don't know if that will be extended, where a lot of these schools, if they're not accredited, the graduates will not be allowed to write the Caribbean exam or write the US exam, so that they can get into the health workforce system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that intervention. Any additional intervention? Can we move on to the other item? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, so we will move
Madam
on.
Chair.
Yes.
I have my hand raised. Just a comment, and that is on the alignment of the roadmap to the policy 2030, Health Workforce 2030. And just to follow up on the systematization of the HRH Commission, which was presented previously, one of the recommendations was to align it with the policy 2030. So I just want to call the attention that the roadmap is aligned with the policies. So that's something that the Commission is already fulfilling. Over to you.
Thank you for that intervention, Dr. Puentes.
Madam Chair, if I may as well respond to Dr. Cummings' comment.
Go ahead.
His concerns actually addressed under strategic intervention 2, under line of action 2, is to develop a regional collaborative body for accreditation of universities, professional councils, associations, and employers. I think the vision here is to ensure that the different professions have a platform for collaboration in terms of, the harmonization of the regulatory frameworks for the various health professions in the region, that takes into consideration the need of the health system. That's why the employers are actually included in this kind of collaborative body, and also the different accreditation bodies, universities, and professional councils and associations.
Thanks, Edwin. Dr. Bender?
Yes, just for clarification, I think Dr. Cummings was alluding to the body that already exists at the CARICOM level. CAMHC, HP is a Caribbean CARICOM organ. And I believe what he was saying is that we need to look at how it meets more often to allow for the accreditation of some of the universities and training programs that we have in the region. But I also wanted to add that when we look at this particular item, the members should consider the fact that in the expanding of the free movement and the single market of professionals, and having single registration that we're now looking at within the CARICOM, the Caribbean community, there will now be a need for the development of examinations that will be used to assess the competencies and skills of various professionals. This already exists for the nurses, and of course, we'd have to look at how that could be done for other categories of staff as well. So this would be a key consideration under this particular aspect. Over, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarity and for the intervention. I
Oh,
know
one more
how.
thing.
Yes,
So
go
sorry,
ahead.
Chair, through you, just to a little bit of housekeeping for persons who would wish to raise their hand, they can use the react button, which is the heart-shaped button on the desktop, and it will give you all of the options to raise your hand or provide any other form of interaction.
Yes, I know, see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. I would like now to invite Dr. Puertas, who will share on the results of the survey on vaccination hesitancy among healthcare workers. He informed us earlier that he has some good news for us. And we look forward to your presentation, Dr. Puertas.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I'm going to share my screen. And please let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can. You want to be in the slide view? Yes, great. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Chairman. And yes, we have good news. And during the opening remarks, I mentioned one of the policy briefs we did. One of the first ones, in those days, the HRH Action Task Force was engaged, and that was the addressing vaccine hesitancy among healthcare workers. And what I'm going to do is to present a follow-up survey on health workers and vaccination that was carried out in 2023. The introduction is, well, yes, that was something that we wanted to follow up with the first policy action of the policy brief was monitoring vaccine acceptance among healthcare workers. And that's what we have been doing as PAHO. And the purpose is to contribute to an increase in vaccine acceptance and confidence among healthcare workers. And the objectives of this particular analysis was to analyze and understand the influence of the pandemics on the knowledge, attitudes, and practices among health workers in the Caribbean towards routine vaccines. And now that's a difference, not only COVID-19, but poliovirus, measles, mumps and rubella, HPV, and diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. And to compare trends in knowledge, attitudes, and practices compared to the 2021 study. So as you will remember, in 2021, during the pandemic, we conducted the analysis in 14 countries on vaccine hesitancy. You can see the study and the report in the figure at the right. And the results were 26% of the respondents had some level of vaccine hesitancy, and most of them were nurses with 34%. That became the highest percentage of vaccine hesitancy in the Americas, and very high even in the world. So we really initiated actions. The study also showed that there were significant differences with age groups, being the younger age groups the most hesitant. And those findings motivated and promoted the initiation of communication strategies targeting specific HRH categories and age groups, and policy development, and as I will mention. So that's the policy brief that I'm talking about, developed by the HRH Action Task Force in those days, addressing COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy among health workers. And the policy action number 2 was to systematically monitor drivers of COVID-19 vaccine acceptance, and was something this policy brief was approved by ministers of health during the 41st consult. So for this particular analysis, we managed to incorporate 13 countries. We wanted to engage the same countries that were that participated in the original study in 2021, but we managed to get 13 countries. Haiti was not included because of the political situation that is known by everyone. So those are the countries, and here you can see the number of participants. We managed to have a larger sample size from what we calculated. So a total number of 983 health workers from the countries that you can see participated. And in terms of the demographics, we found more female health workers participating in the study. Age was much more distributed in the four quartiles. In terms of race and ethnicity, the highest number of percentage were Afro-descendant. Nurses was the highest category that participated in the analysis. 41% of the sample size were nurses, followed by physicians and other healthcare professionals and workers. Most of them come from the public sector, followed by the private, but there's almost over 85% of the respondents were from the public sector, and most of them from healthcare services at other levels of care, and that is hospitals, clinics, polyclinics, laboratories. So what were the results? That this is the good news that Madam Chair was mentioning. The good news is that in the study, you can see the two columns. The first column is the 2024 survey, and the second column is the 2021 survey. As I mentioned to you, the hesitancy in 2021 was 26%, and in 2024, it went down to 18%. So that, and you can see the p-value in the right, it's very highly statistically significant. So that's a very important achievement, and I'll mention later that there were some elements that could have contributed to this decrease, and definitely some of those are the strategies that were established in the countries during that time. Here are some of the other differences that we identified in the study in 2024. The first of all is, as I mentioned before, the 8% decrease in the overall vaccine hesitancy. We could see that female had a higher percentage of reduction, which is very good. And also the quarterly, I mean the quartile 1, which is the younger generation. Those are the ones that we also had better results now with 16% reduce or decrease in vaccine hesitancy among the younger groups. So that's it. And in terms of category, professional category, nursing professionals were the ones that saw more reduction in vaccine hesitancy, which is great, because remember that nurses were the ones with the highest rate of vaccine hesitancy. In terms of analysis, one of the main factors identified as a reason why to be hesitant in 2021 was related to social media and the importance of social media, which was a problem, especially among nurses, because they were looking for information on COVID-19 vaccine in social media. So now that was decreased in 9%, which is very good. And also the importance of actions and opinions of friends and family. So we see those elements as the reason why the vaccine hesitancy was reduced. When talking about general vaccines, we use what's called the Vaccine Confidence Composite Score. And we saw also that there is a significant, statistically significant decrease in increase in the confidence score in 2024. So that's also good news. And when we talk about general vaccines and compare the two surveys, because we did ask about other vaccines in the 2021 analysis, including influenza, Haemophilus influenza vaccine. So you see that there is an increase in the opinions in terms of the importance of a general vaccine, importance of vaccinations to protect self from diseases, and especially safety, which was one of the factors that influenced vaccine hesitancy in 2021. So those were elements that really are important. So if you look into this type of responses, this is the one on recommending the vaccines to the patients. You see that most of the health workers, they do recommend vaccination, but there are some differences in the countries, and some of them, they recommend more than others, and that's some work that we need to continue. Here you see also the respondents who always or frequently prescribe or recommend vaccines, and that's something high numbers, but still we need to. You see that there are vaccines that are less recommended compared to others, such as the HPV vaccine, the influenza, and the COVID-19 are the ones that are less recommended compared to DPT, for example, or measles, mumps, and rubella. So what are the factors that contribute to this opinion in terms of general vaccines? And this is very encouraging, the number one, 93%. What I read in the scientific medical literature and or educational materials. This is something major change, because before, many health workers, especially nurses, they were relating what they read in social media or in other non-scientific sources. Now we see a change, and that's something really, really important. Recommendations issued by scientists and international organizations, 92%. Training, webinars, conferences, 90%. Colleagues, 45%. And then you see less and less that depend upon opinions on friends, family, social media, religious leaders, or political reasons. So to conclude, we see this 8% decrease, which is really encouraging. And I want to call the attention of the HRH Caribbean Commission of, this is something that, and the policy actions and the work by member states, the collaboration support from international organizations, that really made a difference, academic institutions. And we saw also that this reduction in vaccine hesitancy was more pronounced among females, nursing professionals, and the youngest age quartile. Exactly the groups that we wanted to target. We found also a higher vaccine confidence among health workers who responded to the surveys in 2024 compared to the 2021. 85% of participants recommend or indicate vaccines to their patients. And 94.5% of health workers had received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, but 57 had completed, only 57 have completed the full vaccination schedule. So, and yes, the interventions, I think that's very important, and start talking about the policy brief. And that's the first policy brief in which in those days, the HRH Action Task Force was engaged. That's back in November 2021. And the policies actions that were incorporated, and you see that the first one was the monitoring of drivers of COVID-19 acceptance. And this analysis, this survey is one of those ways of monitoring the vaccine acceptance. And then you see increased training and education courses, updating the curriculum of nursing schools, and that's something we still need to work, and that is the curriculum of the coming curriculum of nursing education for the CARICOM. Social marketing and communication, this Caribbean social marketing approach, building strong communication and community engagement, ensuring that COVID-19 vaccination is a part of a comprehensive immunization through the life course category, and expanding the access to COVID-19 and other adult vaccination. So these are some of the courses that were initiated during that time by the Virtual Campus for Public Health. vaccinology for healthcare workers, communicating about vaccine safety, education, updating of curriculum in nursing schools. So you can see some of the activities carried out. Intervention based on social marketing and communication. You see the countries that establish a social marketing approach: Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia and Grenada, with support from PAHO, and using this holistic approach that considers psychosocial aspects of mental health among healthcare workers. And this communication strategy that was all over the place. So those are elements that definitely contribute to this decrease. And
remember when Zoom was just a
well, that was part of the communication strategy, but I just wanted to finish congratulating all of us, the countries, member states, commission, CARFA, CARICOM, UE, the academic institutions, of course, our own PAHO and WHO, who supported these efforts. And I end my presentation and over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Cortez, and we are grateful for the 9% decrease. We do hope that we can see a further decline. I open the floor for comments or questions from colleagues. Yeah, there'll be no comments now. I am sure that there was clarity in your presentation. And as I said, we look forward to further decline. Colleagues, we now move to agenda item number 7, updates on HLMA, and I will call again on Dr. Edwin Bolasti and team for the presentation of the outcome of the Health Labor Market Analysis workshop, which was held in June in Trinidad and Tobago, and the next steps. Edwin, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to defer to Juana Paula, who is with us this morning, to provide some brief updates on the outcomes of the meeting in June, as well as the webinars prior to that, and the next steps that we'll be undertaking moving forward.
Thank you, Edwin. I'm going to share my screen just to briefly. So thank you very much. So this is a short briefing of the Health Labor Market Analysis training in the Caribbean in June. Yes. So briefly as a background, what we have. Okay, as a background, what we have is that based on what we have seen today on the different policy briefs, one of the policy briefs on strengthening human resource for health in the Caribbean highlighted the need for a health labor market analysis training. So that's how the training was developed. We had 10 countries with us, 40 participants from Ministry of Health and from Ministry of Finance. It was based on first 3 webinars and the in-person training, which was between the 10th and the 13th of June. And it was linked to the review of the HRH Caribbean roadmap that Edwin has presented previously. So countries, what was this? Countries discuss using data and information, and they learn and interact with each other around what? Around education sector, supply of health workers, demand of health workers, migration, remuneration. But the nice part is that countries build a preliminary analysis using their own data and information. This was a lot of work for the different countries. I mean, you can, many people that are here today were with us in Trinidad and Tobago. And they had to work hard before getting there in terms of collecting information, and then working with this data and information. Also, during the training, the different countries identified through policy questions key topics. You can see it here. For instance, retention. Retention was a key topic and is linked to many of the topics and the policies that you have integrated in the Caribbean roadmap. Education, gap estimation, financing, so budgetary issues, migration, the geographical distribution of health workers, and governance and regulation. So what have been the results of the training, right? So it strengthened the capacities to identify and analyze health workforce challenges, and this is in line with the policy brief, a starting point, let's say, because a health labor market analysis and a training is not the end of it. But this just a training has actually promoted an evidence-based dialogue between the countries, which was very, very fruitful for them and generate a lot of dynamics inside the countries and between them to share experiences, to share knowledge, to identify and align priorities for analysis, and to strengthen HRH. That's why it was linked to the roadmap. So what's next? Next, it would be to do the health labor market analysis. But of course, to do a health labor market analysis, you'll need the data, the information, and that was acknowledged during the training. And the results have to inform a policy, a plan. And there has to be a political will in the country. It has to be the political situation to actually move this, because a health labor market analysis is not an end. So it will help provide the evidence for policy decisions and actions. So the next steps is we are working on some putting together the information from the countries to provide them with this analysis, the preliminary analysis, not the health labor market analysis, but a preliminary analysis, so they can know where they stand and they can decide when would be the right moment for each country to conduct a health labor market analysis. Thank you. Back to you, Eddie.
Thank you very much, Juana Paula, for the brief presentation on the updates on HLMA. If there are any questions, I will be open to answer them.
Edwin, this is Tara here again. Thank you. And I'm not able to raise my hand for some reason. Sorry about that. Thank you for a great presentation. My question is, did anything come about about the capacity to do this as part of the, so, how will the training sustain and kind of translate into more iterative type of work? Because training is fantastic. I wondered any considerations that came up or anything from your end that you may be thinking of.
Yes. So if there's no other question, or for the moment, I'm going to reply that one. Yeah, the training, this was a different kind of training in the sense that the countries arrived already with a lot of work, right? In terms of bringing information, bringing data, and challenging some hypotheses in terms of policy development. During the training, they have actually realized, some of the countries have realized that they are not ready to do the health labor market analysis because they would need to collect and to first put together some data and information systems in the country. But there are some others that are thinking that they're ready to proceed with this. So with these countries that are ready, we might be able to start working with them, but this has to come from them as a Ministry of Health, right? As a need and in the framework of a policy development. So it's not just about having the data and information that they have realized during the training, but also to have the political environment to go further and a plan for HRH development.
Edwin?
Yes, just in addition to what Juana Paula would have mentioned, we will be having 10 country profiles for the countries that would have participated in the in-person training, but then we may be able to proceed with maybe at least 2 full-blown health labor market analysis reports, depending on the availability of the information, as well as country information, as well as the interest from the countries moving forward as well, because it's gonna entail a lot of work from the country counterparts.
Thank you. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Juana Paula. We move on to item number 8, and we ask Edwin to present on the review of the action framework to strengthen strategic information on HRH in CARICOM.
All right. Are you seeing the screen? Okay.
Yes, the screen is there. You need to go to slide view.
So I'm going to be very quick. Are you seeing the full screen? So this just to update you on the revision of the action framework on strengthening the strategic information and human resources for health in the Caribbean community. This has been presented before as well, and circulated among the members of the HRH Caribbean Commission. We have received some from some countries, but not all. So this is the summary of what would have been collated so far. So the goal of the framework is to strengthen evidence-informed decision-making and policy development on HRH in the Caribbean, with the objectives of improving data collection, analysis, and reporting on the core HRH indicators for the Caribbean, and strengthen to sustain the availability and use of strategic information for human resources for health in the Caribbean. As was mentioned earlier, for HLMA, for the reporting on the National Health Workforce Accounts, as well as the WHO Global Code of Practice, you need systematic data collection, analysis, and reporting of HRH data to be able to use this information in evidence-based policy development, as well as HRH planning. So the 5 priority areas that have been identified in the framework include the following: improve governance for HRH information systems, strengthen national and regional capacity on HRHIS, strengthen information management systems for HRH, improve dissemination and use of strategic information for decision-making, and improve budgeting for HRH. These are the actions that have been identified under each strategy: multidisciplinary national teams with specific terms of reference, nomination of 3 national focal points for the National Health Workforce Accounts, the nomination of a designated national authority for the reporting on the WHO Global Code of Practice, integration of the HRH into national plans and policies, establishment of the governance and oversight architecture at the national and regional levels for HRH, and the development of standard operating procedures for HRH data collection, reporting, and analysis, which we find to be very, very important, and which each of the countries would need to actually develop. Strengthened national and regional capacity on HRH will include conducting sensitization sessions on HRH, promoting uptake of HRH-related training on the virtual campus for public health, and we will hear from them more later regarding an upcoming training, conduct training on the National Health Workforce accounts, the promotion of participation of national and regional stakeholders, and establishing mechanisms for data dissemination and sharing. Third is the strengthen information management systems for HRH, which would include establishing an interoperable system for data collection of HRH information, assessment of HRH systems maturity, and recommendations for improvement. This has been completed already in Barbados and Dominica, and we'd like to encourage other countries to do so as well, to implement recommendations to strengthen HRH systems at the national and regional levels. Next strategy is to improve dissemination and use of strategic information for decision-making by developing and operationalizing a communication strategy, promoting the use of HRH dashboards, and establishing a feedback mechanism to discuss HRH data and information generated at the regional and national levels. And lastly is to improve budgeting for HRH by identifying the cost of the strategic actions and mobilizing resources to address the identified gaps. So next steps would include finalization of the draft document through the identification of timelines, elaboration of an action plan to identify specific tasks, allocation of roles and responsibilities, and identification of resources required for implementation. This will also entail consultation again among the various CARICOM bodies for review and feedback, as well as adoption by COSOD next year in September, and eventual publication of the action framework. That ends my presentation, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bulastik. Colleagues, I indulge you to provide us with your additional time from you so that we can look at other items on the agenda for the next 15 to 30 minutes. Presenters, bear in mind the time constraints. And with that, I open the floor. If there are any comments on the last presentation, please. There being no comments, I invite Dr. Berna Morena Diaz to present on the state of the country reporting on the state of the world's nursing report 2024 and the National Health Workforce accounts. Dr. Diaz.
Well, thanks so much. Let me share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see it?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you, everyone, for having me here at this meeting. So I will briefly present you the status of the state of world's nursing report. As a brief background, in 2020, WHO developed the State of World's Nursing Report to understand better the global situation and to develop strategic actions to optimize the contributions of nurses to achieve universal health coverage. And its second version will be launched next year in 2025. And the aim of this new version, this new report, is to provide a description in nursing workforce at global, regional, and national levels, including the post-pandemic COVID situation, and also to facilitate planning for future nursing workforce that meets the country needs, enable the implementation of strategic actions and policies to address the shortage of nurses and the planning of health workforce. And also, this report will provide evidence to support anticipated governance decisions by WHO member states on the global strategic directions for nurse and midwifery 2026-2030 at the World Health Assembly. So the idea is not to go deep into the structure and content of the report, but to help you understand how your country's data will be reflected in this report, it's important to mention that the report will have 4 components. The first is a quantitative description of the nursing workforce and analysis using the globally standardized indicators and some additional validated data. The second section will have like a deep dive into key topics impacting the ability of the profession to fully contribute to the health systems, like climate change, digital health, and other topics. And the third component is the regional page that will provide us a deep dive into some key areas of relevance for the region, include some country cases, studies, and other topics that we understand that are important for our region. And this section is important to highlight because it would be very interesting for us to analyze the migration of nurses in the Caribbean, for example, but other topics can be highlighted in these regional pages. And the last section, the last component will be the individual country profiles that will reflect each member state's data with specific analysis on the elements such as the estimated production capacity and also the project shortages. So moving on, where we are now in the report. We are in the stage of quality assurance and validation of the data that will be reflected in this report. So on September 3rd, a country profile was sent to the National Health Workforce Accounts focal points. And this country profile is like the example on the screen. And at this moment, it's important to highlight that it's no longer possible to make some changes on the data in the platform. So any change made on the platform will not be reflected on the report. However, through this country profile draft, it's possible to request any correction or update by email, and this data, this review sent by email will be considered in the report. And as far as we know, 7 countries have submitted their updates to WHO. And why it's important to review and validate this data at this point, at this moment. So looking at the Caribbean country profiles sent for review in September 3rd, it's possible to see that for some countries or some indicators, the data, the available data is from 2018 or earlier. So it doesn't reflect any change since the State of World Nursing Report 2020, and also doesn't reflect any possible impact from the COVID pandemic or other national or regional situations. And additionally, when we look at the completeness of the information, there are countries with several missing indicators, like migration, facility type, the education, and other topics on which half or more than the Caribbean countries have not reported any information. And when we look at each country, we find those with highest number of missing data are Haiti, St. Kitts and Nevis, and also Santa Lucia. And as far as we know, these countries have not submitted an update by email. So as I said before, we are now validating this data, the data that will be reflected in the report, and the deadline for reviewing the data by email was Monday, September 16. However, we know that some countries maybe didn't submit their update, and we look forward to receive any updated and check with WHO if it's already possible to consider this data in the report. So, and also, as you can see on the screen, until March, we will be in the process of preparing and producing the report. And then the report will be launched in April and also have its advocacy in May on the International Nurses Day. I thank you for your attention. And also in this session, there are also other colleagues from PAHO who have worked heavily in the National Health Words accounts, namely Ana Paula Cavalcante, Isabel Dure, and Mariana Lopes, that can help us with more specific questions on National Health Words account. So we are at your disposal for any comment and questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz, and I want to encourage colleagues here to ensure that your countries have submitted and updated their data so that we can have a complete picture and a complete report from the region. I open the floor to comments from you, colleagues. If there are any.
Sorry to interject, Chair. This is Stacey Goring from Barbados. I'm trying to get let into the meeting from another device. We had to evacuate the building that I'm in, so I'm waiting in the. Okay, so you've added me. Thank you, guys.
You're most welcome. Yeah, I'm noting that there are no comments, so we will move to the item World Global Code. Dr. Bulistic, please, could you please update on that, please?
Yeah, yes, very, very quickly. I just wanted to let everyone know that the deadline has passed for the submission of the National Reporting Instrument on the WHO Global Code of Practice. That was 16 September 2024, Monday. And so, yes, and so I'd like to invite our colleague, Ana Paula Cavalcante, to provide information regarding this. Over to you, Ana Paula.
Thank you, Edwin. I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. Is it okay? Can you see it?
It's coming on, yes. It's not in full presentation mode, so if you could.
1 second. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Go ahead.
Good morning, all, and thank you for the opportunity to give a brief information regarding the country's information on WHO Global Code of Practice, the international recruitment of health personnel. And the Global Code, just context, the Global Code was adopted in 2010 at the 630 World Health Assembly, and it seeks to strengthen the understanding and the ethical management of international health personnel recruitment through improving data, information, and international cooperation. This year is the 5th round of national report, and the regional has 35 countries with designated national authorities. And of these, 16 countries in the region have sent the national report instrument. Of them, 7 is from Caribbean countries. And the NRE is composed of quantitative and qualitative data, questions on topics such as contemporary issues on health personnel, migration and mobility, agreements on migration and mobility, and responsibilities, right, and recruitment practice of health personnel. As Bruno already mentioned, some of the difficulties is the inclusion of quantitative data by countries, such as the place of training, the place of work, and information distributed by foreign trained countries. And the information will be presented on the executive board on 2029 January. and also in the Assembly of World Health Assembly in May 2025. The deadline was September 15, but the system will be open to enter and complete the country's data. And if not analyzed now for the January 25, it will be considered for the update of a World Health Assembly on May 2025 also. It's an opportunity for countries to continue to collect information, to contribute to improve data information and international cooperation on health, personal migration, and mobility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paula.
Go ahead, Edwin.
Yes, sorry, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank Ana Paula for the update.
Thank you. Does that conclude the presentation, your presentation on this item? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We move on, allow us to move on to item number 9. We give our attention to Miss Ada Makaki, and we invite her to present on the findings of the Caribbean Nursing and Midwifery Survey 2024. Anna, go ahead.
Yes, this is Ada Markaki. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair, for the invitation. Special thanks to Dr. Bolastic for inviting us to give a quick update to your group on the work that has been happening. So let me just share my slides. All right. Could you confirm that you can see my slides?
You need to go in presentation view.
Okay. All right. How about now?
You're good. Very good.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm presenting on behalf of the Caribbean Work Group that is part of the Pan American Nursing and Midwifery Collaborating Centers Network. And this work is currently ongoing. As a matter of fact, Dr. Oscar Ocho had given an update or a first update on this work back in February of 2024 to your group. So this is the second update to the group. And we are particularly thankful and appreciative for all the work that has been done by our collaborators, 7 collaborating centers, and our PAHO representatives who are part of this group, Dr. Bolastic, Dr. Andy Partapsik, and Dr. Benjamin Puertas. So these are the institutions who are part of this particular collaborating work group in the Caribbean. 7 institutions representing the US, Canada, and of course the Caribbean with the UE from Jamaica and the UE from Trinidad and Tobago. Now, our work was motivated by the group meeting that was organized by PAHO and the University of Illinois at Chicago back in November of 2023. And I'm sure that quite a few of you on this call might have been participating in that meeting that looked at expanding roles, education, and regulation of Caribbean nurses in primary healthcare. So as a result of that meeting, 7 of the collaborating centers initiated a groundbreaking collaboration to address the challenges that we all have in obtaining the requested data by PAHO in order for us to be able to complete the designated activities. So the objectives of this particular work group were to capture nursing workforce data in service delivery, education, and advanced practice, to be able to streamline the data collection process, to optimize the data quality, and to minimize the respondent burden, because we realize that many of you are recipients of multiple surveys from time to time, and we really wanted to optimize the process and to minimize that burden. So in partnership then with PAHO, the regional nursing body and the Caribbean collaborating centers that were mentioned before, we aim to provide context-specific information that will inform the country-relevant activities to support the development of nursing and midwifery in the Caribbean. And, you know, I was particularly interested in hearing the previous speakers describe a lot of the activities and initiatives that are happening in this region. And throughout the whole time, I have been thinking how best we can align our work with what is happening in your region. So that's exactly what the intent was. So we submitted a request and received approval by the PAHO Ethical Review Committee for this survey, and created a comprehensive and yet streamlined survey that captures the data on Caribbean nursing and midwifery in service, practice, policy, and education sectors. These were the main sectors of the survey. The survey was developed in Qualtrics and was distributed by PAHO, Dr. Bolastic's office, in early September of 2024. So that would have been about 2 weeks ago. And the survey is open until the end of September, and the recipients have been the CNOs and the educational institution directors from the region. So educational institutions that have schools of nursing and midwifery would also be involved in this data collection. So just to give you very briefly a couple of examples of what the survey content is. The section that deals with health services and is to be answered by the regional CNOs would have questions such as, what are the major concerns that you have regarding the work environment for nurses? What strides have you made? What policies have you implemented to support good work environments for nurses and their patients? And the items, most of the items are multiple choice, allowing for selection of one or more items, responses, and a few are open items that allow for open entries. We have tried to make it as easy as possible and yet as rigorous as possible in terms of asking the questions and collecting the data. Another example for that would be answered by the directors of educational institutions that would look into specialty nursing education would be, what areas of specialty practice currently exist for RNs in your country? What areas of specialty practice are currently recognized for advanced practice nurses in your country? And what are the top 3 most important specialties to develop for RNs in advanced practice roles in your country? Again, the answers would be multiple choice, allowing for more than one selection. So next steps, your continuous support of this is crucial to reach a high response rate from all target countries for both service and education sectors. As of yesterday, we had 21 surveys that had been returned back. However, more than half of them were not fully completed. And we did hear repeatedly about the from previous speakers about the importance of having fully completed data, not having missing data. So that seems to be a recurring theme that we probably need to take a look at, because it does make, it presents challenges in terms of compiling data and having the full picture of the region, which is what the intent is. So we expect to compile, validate, and share the survey results to the next regional meeting of the RMB in March 2025, and we will be working closely with Dr. Bolastic to do this. We are available for more information or any questions. There is an email, or I'm happy to take questions, and if I cannot answer them, I will find the answers for you. And we certainly appreciate all of your ongoing support, and keeping in mind that the deadline is the end of September, and we really would like to have a high response rate to be able to proceed with the next steps. And with this, I would like to thank you, and back to you, Madam Chair, and I'm open to any questions from the floor.
Thank you much, colleagues. Any questions directed to Data? Thank you very much, Ada, for this presentation and the information that you
Thank you.
guided upon. I will now call on Dr. Listrovsky and Dr. Pena to address us on an outline of the building competencies in nursing faculty for hybrid teaching, which is being offered by PAHO Virtual Campus for Public Health.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, Madam Chair and Commission members and colleagues. My name is Scarlett Pena from the regional team. Thank you for the invitation. Regards from Gabriel Listovsky, the Chief of the Virtual Campus Special Program at PAHO. Today, I want to share a brief information about the upcoming course. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we're seeing it. Please go in presentation mode.
Oh, this is the last.
Beautiful. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. This is today I want to share a upcoming course building competencies in nursing faculty for hybrid teaching. This course seeks to build capacity in the number of Caribbean nurse educators in hybrid and online instruction with specific focus on clinical placements and simulated practice settings. The course is targeted at nursing instructors and tutors, as well as clinical instructors and clinical nurses who supervise nursing students. The modality of the course, this is a tutoring course divided into 4 modules to be completed over 8 weeks. The course uses a hybrid modality that combines synchronous and asynchronous activities with a weekly dedication of approximately 8 hours. Some updates. We are currently working on the process to develop the pilot edition of the course targeting nursing schools from the Caribbean countries. This pilot edition has been scheduled to be offered in 2024 from October the 1st to November 24th to a first cohort of 30 participants. The request for nominations was started on August 19th with a deadline until September 13th, but so far the virtual campus has received only 17 nominations from 7 countries: the Bahamas, Bermuda, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago. We have not received any nomination from these countries: Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Belize, Curacao, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and Turcos and Caicos. Given this situation, Mr. Listovsky has indicated that probably the launch of the course will be rescheduled to extend the deadline for nominations. We are also reviewing material of new nursing courses that will be open soon with the purpose of identifying complementary materials that we can use in this course, so we can have time to receive more nominations. I want to also highlight the support from the HRH unit, working very hard jointly with the Virtual Campus to meet the best standards for this project. This unit will have an active role in the coordination of the course. I also would like to kindly request your help to continue the following up of for nominations, especially from those nursing schools that we have not received nomination yet. Thank you very much to Dr. Puertas, Edwin Velasquez for all the supports and thank you for this invitation. Madam Chair, over to you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I will open the floor for comments or any intervention. Yes, Ms. Ravalier. Dominica.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take this opportunity to commend the presenter, Ms. Escale, for this information. I think it is a very, very necessary course. And I am thankful that, and we in Dominica, we are willing to participate. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for considering rescheduling to have an extension to the deadline, because with Dominica, the Ministry of Education is responsible for the School of Nursing. So we had to try to navigate as much as to get the nominees, which we did, and we will be submitting, or we did that yesterday afternoon in terms of submission. So thank you very much for that. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's my point.
Thank you very much. Are there any other interventions? So I will call on Dr. Bender and she will share with us and provide an update on the progress of the consultancy, which is intended to harmonize midwifery education and regulation in the Caribbean region. Dr. Bender.
Good morning again, everyone. Or good afternoon, rather. Please let me know when you can see the screen.
We are seeing you need to go. Beautiful.
All right, so this will be a very succinct and short presentation, and will be an update on the consultancy and midwifery education and regulation in the Caribbean. So this particular item originates from the regional nursing body at its 50th annual general meeting, which was held in July of 2023. Now, one of the items that was presented at that meeting spoke to the harmonization of midwifery education, training, and practice. And while it was acknowledged that there are curricula and guidelines for this particular area, there needed to be harmonization among member states. And with that agreement, a special working group was established to draft a terms of reference for a consultancy to provide effective leadership, coordination, technical services to support the strengthening of midwifery education, training, and regulation. And under that particular consultancy, it was expected that they would actually work towards assessing or analyzing the current situation as it relates to what the curricula looked like for each of those areas, as well as the gaps within the regulation, and propose a curricula or standards that would be used across the board for midwifery practice and education throughout the region. That was subsequently shared with PAHO WHO, who had indicated their willingness to support the endeavor. In March 2024, it would have been reviewed and feedback would have been provided for the consideration of this special working group of the regional nursing body. So at its 51st annual general meeting, this item was brought up again, and this took place in August of 2024, from the 5th to the 8th. And at that particular time, the body agreed that they would review the feedback provided from PAHO and determine whether they would wish to rescope the structure of the consultancy and revisit the timelines. So that special working group is to convene at a time to be determined by those members. Once that is completed and the term of reference has been updated, the Secretariat is instructed to complete the project document that would allow for the following formal approvals that would allow for the Secretariat to officially seek support from PAHO WHO on behalf of the R&B to complete this work. So given that this is to be done in tandem with the members of this working group, we expect that this should be completed, at least the consultation to complete or revise the terms of reference should be and the update of the project document should be completed by December 2024. And with that in mind, this completes the presentation. Very succinct. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bender. Colleagues, I invite you. Are there any comments or interventions? So having noted that there are no other comments or intervention, I once again seek your further indulgence. We have 2 other main items on the agenda so that we can complete the agenda. So I'll ask Dr. Puertas to provide an overview of the preparation for the high-level meeting on the migration and mobility of healthcare workers in the region of the Americas, which is scheduled to take place in 2025. Dr. Puertas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's happening in a month, actually. The high-level event on healthcare workers migration in the region of the Americas is a high-profile level that PAHO is organizing together with WHO Euro. And the idea is to have countries from each of our sub-regions in the Americas. I'm talking about South America, the Caribbean, Central America, and Mexico, and North America. So what we have identified are countries that are either countries of origin and countries of destination of health workers from the Americas. And we identified a group of countries in the region, for example, from South America, it will be Brazil, Chile, and Ecuador that are coming and sending their high-level delegates to Washington, D.C. From the Caribbean, it will be Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, and Grenada. And from Central America will be Honduras, El Salvador, and Mexico. And from North America, Canada, and the United States. We have, and that's the collaboration with WHO Euro, we have also invited countries that receive health workers from the Americas in Europe, and those are Germany, United Kingdom, Spain, Portugal, and Ireland to also participate. And we have already received confirmation from 2 of those countries at a high level. As well, we have invited agencies and institutions that have a lot to do with the migration of health workers, such as the International Labor Organization, OECD, CEPAL, and the financial institutions such as the World Bank, IDB, and the Caribbean Development Bank. So we'll have a very important group of delegates discussing about different elements of strategies of retention, recruitment of health workers. We'll discuss the code of international recruitment, bilateral agreements. And the purpose of the meeting is to come out with the strategic orientations to build a roadmap for the migration of health workers in the region of the Americas. So I also want to mention that in the last executive committee meeting of our member states in Washington, D.C. At PAHO, Brazil, they suggested the possibility of having a meeting on healthcare workers migration next year as a follow-up to this event. So we're hoping that the 2 events are combined in order to build this roadmap by 2025. So Washington is going to be hopefully the first step of having high-level delegations from the countries I mentioned to discuss the position of destination countries, but very important, the position of countries of origin. As you know, the Caribbean is one of the regions in the Americas that has more migration, especially of nurses to countries such as Canada, the USA, but also to Europe, to the United Kingdom in particular. So we really want, but also it's a region of destination of health workers from other regions. So we're expecting to have a important participation of the Caribbean in these discussions. We're having ministers of health, vice ministers, ministers of human rights, directors of human resources for health, CEOs and other high-level authorities that will be participating in the event in Washington, which will happen in our headquarters office in DC, the 17th and 18th of October. So my call is to, again, the Caribbean countries to make sure that they have high-level delegates, that they have a voice that will hopefully be united in terms of establishing the guidelines and orientations to have a more ethic migration and mobility of health workers from the region to countries of destination. That would be my report, Madam Chair, and I'll be happy to respond to any comment or question from the colleagues. Over to you.
Any comments, questions, colleagues? So Dr. Pretas, I want to thank you for informing us of this meeting, of the intervention, which will further advance the region's mechanism to address healthcare workers' migration and mobility. Thank you
If I
for
may,
that.
Madam Chair, I just forgot to mention that the notes, concept notes, invitations, and agenda has been sent to the countries via our country offices. So they should, about 2-3 weeks ago, so they should have it from a while ago. Over to you.
Thank you for that. So colleagues, please follow up and ensure that we have the representation that is required and needed from us. We move on to agenda item 11, and I will call on Johanna Diaz de Valle to present on interprofessional education and practice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me share my screen, please. So,
go ahead, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Dear Commission members and colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here with you today participating in this important meeting. I am Human Resources for Health Advisor in the Human Resources Unit based at PAHO headquarters in Washington, now in charge of governance and management issues, and at this time also supporting Human Resources for Health education. So in this occasion, Dr. Velastic has asked us to talk about interprofessional teams and their impact on health outcomes and the work we are developing in the unit. So that is what the content of my presentation is focused on. So let's talk about the third strategic line of the policy of Human Resources for Health 2030 that you all of you know, that is strengthened the formation of interprofessional teams and their integration into integrated health systems networks based on primary health care. So it's important to put in place interprofessional teams at the first level of care with response capacity and the right skills and an intercultural and social determinants approach to health to deal with the circumstances of the populations in conditions of vulnerability. So you can see here the main tasks that should be carried out by the interprofessional teams that include promotion of health and disseminating health information, applying preventive measures, mitigating health risks, conducting epidemiological surveillance, ensuring timely diagnosis through adequate screening, and ensuring, of course, access to treatment, to follow up and monitoring of for each case, all while applying a comprehensive healthcare approach and incorporating, of course, traditional medicine. So that said, this image is only to represent the continuum and logic of strengthening education with an interprofessional work strategy to achieve health results. So the education processes of health professionals must be based on the health needs of the population that are ultimately the objective we wish to achieve. This is how we work with the current and future workforce using interprofessional education tools to reach health services and work in a collaborative way. But of course, for that, we need the services to have certain conditions so that the professionals can work in that way. And so the interprofessional teams do not just happen when people work in the same place, when we put them together. They must be designed and trained to function that way, to implement action plans that are at least comprehensive, age and disability sensitive, and gender responsive with a focus on human rights. So let me share with you the elements for leveraging PAHO's technical cooperation in the organization of interprofessional teams. We are working in these 8 elements to promote, the first one, to promote the health advocacy for the organization of interprofessional teams with relevant actors, to support the development and implementation of policies, plans, strategy, regulations, to increase the availability of human resources for health, to assist the countries in the identification of profiles and competencies of healthcare workers, and develop guidelines and recommendations to organize, insert, and strengthen interprofessional teams to expand their roles according to the needs, to promote changes in the curricula for graduate and, of course, postgraduate education to strengthen collaborative practice, to support life learning training strategies also, to assist health managers planning processes to insert the interprofessional teams at the first level of care, and finally, to promote the establishment of monitoring and evaluating mechanisms for interprofessional teams' work, and disseminate evidence related to processes, customs, and outcomes and impact of their work. And this is what the Human Resources for Health unit is working now about interprofessional teams. At this moment, we are developing at least 3 areas of work that integrate some of the above 8 elements that I presented before, and these are: the first one, technical guidelines. We are developing 2 technical guidelines, one related to interprofessional teams, based on primary health care for integrated health services, delivery networks, and the other one related to interprofessional education. The second one is about skills strengthening, processes that include one very interesting interprofessional education course for tutors and educational authorities in charge of promoting changes at the level of training programs for health professionals. For example, we have just finished the first cohort of this course in the Dominican Republic. This was aimed to raise awareness and provide the essential elements of interprofessional education so that the teams of tutors can begin to work on different programs, transformation activities. This course had 2 webinars and a face-to-face workshop, for example. So in the second stage, we will also be making virtual courses available on this subject so that those interested can also delve deeper and learn some useful tools. And the 3 element is the one assessment tool that we are developing. We are working on a tool to analyze the conditions of health systems related to the implementation of interprofessional teams, where throughout self-analysis, countries will be able to verify their own conditions and finally develop prioritizing action plans so that their services meet the requirements to work in collaborative conditions. This tool is a web application that will be available started next year. This year, we are still working in the process of construction and validation. In fact, we are already organizing the first pilot test in the field for early November in Honduras. And I just wanted to share with you this picture. It's a very significant picture for me because it was taken in the tutors workshop held in Dominican Republic just a couple of months ago. Here you can see 3 representatives from different universities in the country, 3 different universities, and 3 different careers. Integrating such a diverse group for this course was a real achievement, and I guess that's a recipe that we will need to continue applying. So that's the invitation. Thank you very much. And over to you, Madam Chair. Ready for any question or comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Johanna. Any comments or questions from the floor?
Is my hand,
Go ahead, Dr. Cummings.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is something which I really do like, interprofessional, because in terms of training, it's not just the practice, but I think the educational institutions should be encouraged to promote interprofessional education and from the training, with the different, their core courses to which they do together, so they understand that they're part of a team. But I think a question that I wish to ask, do we have any data as to the designing of our primary healthcare facility, in terms of it, or the practice of our primary healthcare? Because I know you did mention it doesn't have to be physically together, but it could be so structured that a patient can be referred to the appropriate healthcare provider. Do we have that kind of a data in the region? Because I think it would help us in strengthening what we're doing, and also to get the input from patients themselves, because patients can be very frustrated that I come here and then I have to go there, travel. The cost of going from one healthcare facility to the other to see. We should try as much as possible to facilitate rather, the easy access to healthcare in one place where they can see the doctor, the rehabilitation, the optometrist, and everybody else. I think that is what we should try to achieve as a region. I just wish, those are some of the comments. There are many other things I can say this time, but this is something which I think certainly we can promote and should be part of our policy, and maybe advise to the territories in terms of the physical instruction, in terms of designing their healthcare facility, and also to ensure that even the training programs are so designed to facilitate interprofessional training and ultimately interprofessional practice. Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Cummins. At this moment, I have to be honest, we do not have many systematized details, but we have many experiences that are in development in many countries, in the Latin American countries and some from the United States, Canada, and many countries out of the continent. In fact, now have been working in a group in PAHO and some other organizations working on mapping different initiatives, not only in the from the academy, but also in the services. This is also a part of the work we are developing now. So that will be very interesting, and we, of course, will be sharing this with all of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Johanna. Ada?
Yes, thank you. Hello, Dr. Johanna, good to see you. I'm really excited to hear about this initiative and just wanted to bring to your attention that there are quite a few collaborating centers that have experience in interprofessional education. So I call upon you to take advantage of this experience and see how we can align together with some of the initiatives that you are currently taking over. So just wanted to let you know that we are available and would love to talk a little bit more about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ada. In fact, we're organizing some meetings and we're working with all the collaborative centers to interchange some information about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the interventions in this, following this presentation. I call on the representative of Jamaica who will present on the Jamaica experience in the development of national HRH policy and plans.
Good morning, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you may want to go to slide view presentation mode.
Stop share and go for that first.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay. So good morning again, colleagues. Stephanie Bernard Stevens from Jamaica. So I will be like 2 minutes, just to let you know that human resources for health is a priority in Jamaica. And in recognizing this, there are a number of strategic actions concerning human resources for health. The first of which is the development of a comprehensive human resources for health policy and action plan for the standard provision of the health care system. Now, mention would have been made of some of the activities for human resources for health that would have taken place, such as the workshop on the health labor market analysis, of which Jamaica participated. And we are also currently in the process of looking at developing a human resources for health information system for the country. Now, in regards to the development of the HRH policy and action plan, an agreement was signed between the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Pan American Organization in 2021. And as part of that established agreement to build national capacity for human resources for health, PAHO, WHO is to provide technical assistance in developing the HRH gap analysis and a strategic 5-year policy and action plan for HRH. Now, Dalhousie University Collaborating Center on Health Workforce Planning and Research was engaged through PAHO for this consultancy. The consultancy is being done in 3 phases. Phase 1 situation analysis document review to evaluate the current health workforce and broader health system landscape in Jamaica that has been completed, and the draft document submitted for review to the Ministry of Health, or I think we're on the third draft. Phase 2, integrated work planning to define the health workforce requirements associated with primary healthcare reform efforts. And this is in progress along with phase 3, which is the development of the policy and the implementation plan. Now, a draft policy has been developed and submitted, and around that draft policy and the situation analysis, we had a country visit from the Dalhousie team, which occurred on September 9th and 10th. And we met with key stakeholders from the Ministry of Health, Labor, Education, the regional health authorities, and other key groups to discuss the plan, the policy and action plan, as well as the situation analysis. And from the feedback from the consultants, it was a very fruitful discussion. And now we are awaiting the updated documents for further review from the key stakeholders, and going forward to actually finalizing. So our next steps is basically the finalization and implementation of the policy and the action plan once received from the consultants, and also to strengthen our collaboration with key stakeholders to facilitate human resources for health planning. And also, as I would have mentioned earlier, we're looking to develop a human resource for health information system here in Jamaica. So that is it for us in the development of our HRH policy and action plan.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I call on colleagues on the floor. I invite you for comments and questions. Yes, Edwin?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. I just wanted to commend Jamaica for undertaking this very relevant initiative. And in fact, we've been encouraging the countries in the Caribbean to develop their HRH policies and plans. And so would like to say that Jamaica's in the right direction. And I also saw that their intention of developing the HRH information system that will really help, in terms of evidence-based HRH planning and policy development. They do go hand in hand, and even with the health labor market analysis that we've seen earlier, having a robust HRH information system is very, very important, and the guidance that the policy and plan will provide to the country will certainly go a long way in terms of addressing HRH challenges, particularly the migration issue that was also presented. So it all ties up to everything that we've discussed earlier. And so I'd like to commend and thank Dalhousie University as well for the support they've provided to Jamaica through the request from PAHO WHO. And also would like to encourage other countries to learn from the experiences of Jamaica, and also to mention that Belize is actually going to be is also undertaking the development of their HRH policy and plan, although they couldn't be here today. Over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Edwin. Miss Noel, Diana?
Good day, everyone. I just wanted to congratulate Jamaica as well on making that step. Guyana is actually planning. We haven't made much progress in this regard to do the same, and we're hoping that we can get the support of PAHO for the implementation of this project, and maybe we can probably use Jamaica as lessons learned going forward. So just giving PAHO a heads up that you'll be hearing from us shortly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I also want to commend Jamaica. I am sure that with your experience or you leading the trail, you'll be able to assist the other islands as well, member states as well. Dr. Puertas, I recognize your hands. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and again, congratulations to Jamaica. And I just want to call attention that this effort of building and updating national policies on human resources for health, there are other countries also involved, and I just want to offer our support in the region of the Caribbean to move on with those policies. Some of them, they have been already completed and they just need to be implemented or approved. So I encourage the countries in the Caribbean who are in that situation to move on and have them approved. Or if they are going to update, please feel free to contact us and request that collaboration from our organization. We'll be very happy to comply. And also the PAHO is carrying out a situation analysis of policies on national policies on human resources for health. So we're mapping what's the situation in terms of what countries have in terms of policy development on HRH. And we will be presenting the results shortly, and I'm sure we will have also areas in which we collaborate. We can collaborate with countries. That's all. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Puertas. Edwin?
Yes, Madam Chair, just to echo and reiterate what Benjamin would already have mentioned, please do go ahead if you wanted the PAHO support. Please send a request, a formal request to the PWRs in your respective jurisdictions, and we'll be more than happy to help you once we receive the request from the PWRs. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from colleagues? Thank you very much. There being no other business on the agenda item number 12, we will move to agenda item number 13. Given that the meeting of the HRH CC are held quarterly, the proposed date for the next meeting is Wednesday, 11 December 2024. I now put this for your consideration and for agreement for the next meeting. Are there any objections? Dr. Bender, are there any other comments from the Secretariat?
Yes, it would just be for the members to decide if this is convenient. While it is held quarterly, should it be inconvenient, we could consider the first quarter of 2025 if that is more convenient to members. So for members themselves, is the 11th of December a potentially convenient date, or do we reconsider for the first quarter of 2025?
Hi, good afternoon. Stacey
Go
from
ahead.
Barbados.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm suggesting can we reschedule for the first quarter of 2025?
First quarter of 2025 is being proposed. Are we in agreement? Collectively, are we in agreement? Dr. Bender, do I do the vote on this? We agree on the pass a
We
motion?
could put it to the floor. So
Okay, so
Jamaica has moved for the first quarter. If we can have a seconder, or at least agreement
can we
from
have a
another.
seconder?
I second.
I'm Marissa.
Okay, so we have Marissa going first for the second. So Marissa has seconded. I want to thank you for participating. So we agree that the next meeting of the HRH CC will be held in the first quarter of 2025.
So in that regard, between Edwin and, well, the Secretariat and PAHO WHO will consult and revert with some proposed dates for the members to consider. It will be pending or secondary to the timeframes in between other meetings that might take place in the same timeframe.
Edwin?
Yes, thank you very much. And let me take the opportunity to thank you, Madam Chair, for a wonderful job in facilitating this session. So much thanks and appreciation for the good work that you did today.
Thank you.
Through the chair,
Stephanie,
note,
is this
yes,
an
Ms.
old
Bernard's
hand or a
hand is
new
up.
hand? Go ahead.
It is a new hand.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, just want to have the secretariats know that for previous meetings, I was not getting the communication. And it was only when Ms. Delmel called to ask about my attendance at this meeting that I was made aware of it. So I'm not sure what was happening, but I was sent up as the HRH focal point. So I'm not sure why I was not getting the communication concerning meetings. So Jamaica would not have been represented because we weren't aware of it.
Okay, so we'll have to extend apologies on that part, but we did send out a confirmation of focal points earlier this year. I'd have to consult internally to determine if your name had been shared. If not, we'll take note of it now and add you to the list.
Thank you.
Will do.
Okay. Any other comments, Dr. Bender, from the Secretariat? We can conclude.
Well, we'd just like to first extend congratulations to all the member states, not only for their participants, but all the efforts they have made in terms of pushing the HRH agenda forward. As it has been alluded to earlier, this remains a very high priority area for our member states, and they have been making diligent efforts to ensure that this particular item is addressed regionally. And we did allude to the point that they are working on developing a wider regional migration policy, as well as other initiatives that would address the same. So congratulations to those member states, including Jamaica, who would have taken the initiative to start their processes. And of course, to the participants of this commission, we stand ready to support in whatever way that we can on the Secretariat's end. And thank you so much for the attendance. Over, Chair.
Thank you, Edwin.
Yes, while I apologize for packing the agenda with so much that it took us 3 hours to actually finish the meeting, but I'm very, very happy and we're very pleased. And on behalf of the Pan American Health Organization, we really would like to thank the member states and the members, particularly of the HRH Caribbean Commission, for all the good work that has been done since inception of the task force and now the commission. So we would like to invoke you to please continue the good work that you've been doing. This is a testament to all the good work that we could do collectively, as a sub-region in collaboration with our international and regional partners as well. That together it is a demonstration that together we could do so much and we could achieve a lot. But would like to remind the HRH focal persons who are attending the meeting right now to please follow up on the requests for information, for submission of reports. For those who do not have a designated national authority yet for the Global Code of Practice, please do submit. And you could continue to submit, the data on the to WHO, and for the HRH focal persons for the National Health Workforce accounts as well, to please continue to update information as we will continue to use them. And I think moving forward in terms of strengthening, our HRH, including HRH information systems. So over
Thank you
to you.
so much. Thank you so much. I wish to thank each of you for participating today. I started by calling for very valuable and insightful contributions. I think we got that today. And I know that we have a lot of work to do, but we are committed to the task. So I would like to say that I look forward to continue working with you, each of you, and I now declare this meeting closed. Thank you much.
Edwin, before you disappear,
Yes.
module 2 on the NHWA. I'm not seeing it when I went on this morning. I see module 1 and the sub-nationals, but I'm not seeing module 2 to input data in module 2. Is that one of the one that is closed that you can't put anything in?
Okay, I will have to ask if Bruna is still on. I will, if not, I'll contact them and provide you information. So module 2 is not available. Okay.
Okay, then thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see you all. Bye-bye.
Yes, Chair, an excellent job. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your
Thank you.
leadership.
You're welcome. Take